Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. Today we are here with Imam Muhammed Ameen as part of a series of interviews that we're conducting with pioneers, imams, and the general community of Masjid Al-Mu'minun. Today is May the 19th, is that correct? 16th? Pardon, May the 16th, Sunday. And this is a Talut as well as an interview. So I'd like to thank Imam Muhammed Ameen for being here with us today.
I'd like to thank you for the invitation. Thank you, and thank the community also.
First, I would like to address you as a man, a Muslim, and a brother.
Yes, sir.
And I would like to say to you, both an honor and a blessing to be here with you to ask you a few questions about your life.
And I feel the same way, Brother Talut. I promise you. I am so grateful. I feel honored, super honored.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're going to start with your life, living in the household of your parents, among your siblings, and what that was like.
Okay. Again, I feel very grateful, and I grew up in Arkansas, as you know, with there were 6 of us, 4 boys and 2 girls, and a town that's population is 1,000 or less, a little bitty town. And it was actually a very exceptional blessing because my mother was a very spiritual lady, very, and she raised all of us like that. And it didn't dawn on me until I came into Al-Islam what a super blessing that was for us to have parents like that. Because many of us have parents like that, and I was one of those people who had that, and my siblings, we all shared in that experience, with your parents and raising you like that. So that, for me, that was probably the most memorable part about growing up into a little country town, and people basically trust each other, and everybody knew each other. It reminds me a lot of the masjid because it was a small community. The mothers knew each other, the children knew the mother, and so forth.
When were you born?
I was born in July of 1951.
As you grew up in your household, were you the middle child?
I was the 3rd child. I have a sister and a brother older, and I have 2 brothers and a sister younger. So I guess you would say midway.
What was your standard of life at the time?
It was really, we were poor, but we didn't know it. It was really, Brother Talut, it was, when I look back at it, it was almost miraculous because it was very good. I mean, we didn't know that we were. My dad was an exceptionally hard-working person, and really we thought we were rich. I'll be honest. I had to find out later about it to find out that we were really poor people. But in my mind, I was in college before I realized that we were poor folks. I mean, that's just how fortunate it was. Yes, sir.
What church did you?
I went to.
Family?
Yes, sir. We went to a place called church called Olive Grove Missionary Baptist Church, Pastor Williams, and I remember it so well because I was a part of it.
That's the question coming up. What did you do in the church?
Well, we grew up, probably like most of us, we grew up, my mother, we had to go to church. We didn't have a choice. You had to go to church. You had to go to Sunday school. You had to be there on Sunday. And that experience put in me, as well as others, I believe, just an appreciation for Almighty God. Now that now that my understanding has gotten better, it was really a blessing. But my mother made sure we had to go. We didn't have a choice. I didn't always want to, but you wasn't going to stay in that house. It was just the way it was. Everybody had to get out of there.
And tell us about your experience as choir director. What was that like for you?
That was the experience that actually led me to come in. It was a help to come into the mass here, because when my mother passed, I had stopped going to church.
When you
That was like 68, 69. My mother passed in 74.
okay.
But prior to it, once I got into college and got with the guys and that kind of stuff, and went to the military, I just quit. And then my mom told me, she said, I didn't raise you to be a person that is not religious. And she said, one day you're going to go back. And I told her, I said, Mom, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't think I just don't like the church. I don't like what they're talking about. They're tricking folks. They're doing, I told her a lot of stuff that I wish I hadn't seen. But I never was disrespectful to her, but I just told her I didn't. But anyway, my mother passed, and when she passed, I went back to church and got on what they call the morning's bench. And that experience led me, and some people tricked me and told me I could sing. So once they told me that, and people in church, they said, "Come on, son, sing." And it led to one thing. That the next thing they said, "Okay, you lead the choir," and so that led 2 or 3 years of that.
But the church, you said it was a small church. What was it, 50, 100 people? Or?
Probably 100 people. Something like it reminded me of last year. It might have been a few more people than here, but it was very simple.
Okay. What was your life among in the neighborhood where you lived, among your peers at that time?
I have always been a person that got along good with the community folks, and I call them partners. My partners and I, we got along good. I mean, older guys and younger. It was just, when I look back at it, I don't know, in some ways, I look back, I was a person that was not easily swayed, but I was a person that looked up to my older guys. Come on, Larry, you can do this, you can do this, you can do. That's how I ended up doing some things I shouldn't have. I was about to say what it was, but I'll leave that alone. But some things I did, it was because of the older guy. Come on, man, do this. And the first time I ever took a drink of whiskey was an older guy. Man, you ain't gonna, And I don't know if that's the right part for this interview.
Well, absolutely, we're talking about you and your life.
And so I was a guy who I always loved the guys. I like to hang with them, and I love that camaraderie. And coming into Islam actually helped me appreciate that as well as thinking independent. Al-Islam did that for me. Because I don't think if I had not come into Al-Islam, I still would be, honestly, monkey see, monkey do.
Tell us about your schooling, your elementary school, did you have a junior high school?
We went from elementary to, it was junior high, but we didn't know it was junior high. We just went from 1st grade to 6th grade, 6th grade to 12th grade.
You were a student?
Yes, I was. I was honor student, believe it or not. I was an honor student. I always loved studying. For some reason, I didn't like certain things, but there were some things I fell in love with. And once I fall in love with it, I would be hooked. And so it was kind of like that when I got in school. It was like, okay, I like doing this, kind of like yourself, when you really like, because I know that about you, when you really like something, you just get into it and you don't know why, you just be buried in it. And when you come out of it, somebody said, they give you credit for it, but you really can't take credit because that's just how you are. Yeah.
You, and what was your school? What was
in college or?
Elementary, high
school? It was,
what was the name?
Oh, the name of it was William R. Golden High School. It was named after an African American brother who had actually founded. He founded that school, and he had passed, but his wife was still living, and she was one of my instructors. She has since passed on, God rest her soul. But that's the name of it, William R. Gold.
And you attend what college?
At that time, it was Arkansas's AM&N. Now it's University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, but it was agricultural, mechanical, and normal college.
What kind of student were you?
I was hard-headed. I had gotten into the street life, and I wasn't paying books any attention at that time. I made a few grades just to make it through, but I was looking at the party life. That was my life at that time. Yeah. That's party.
You graduated from this university?
No, sir. I did not graduate. I got into some trouble, actually. They didn't put me out because of my partying, because I had grades decent enough to stay in, but I got into some trouble. I won't necessarily say what I did, some stuff I shouldn't have done, and they offered me the opportunity to go to jail or go to the military, and I selected the military. I found out later that I really wasn't going to go to jail. It wasn't bad enough for that. But
what branch of the military?
The Army. Went to the United States Army.
How did you do there?
I did.
Join military?
I loved the military. I was a person that loved. I didn't like it. I loved the Army. It was really. I was fortunate. We went from what they call, I'm sure you know, from basic training. When I came out of basic training, I was a PLC, and then I went from basic training to AIT. AIT, and then from AIT, they gave me some stripes.
Infantry training.
Yeah, advanced infantry training, and so that was really. I was like, wow, okay, and I just loved it.
When did you first discover that Al-Islam was an interest of yours?
I came home from the military and was disappointed in religion. And I was a child who was exceptionally close to my mother. I was very, very close to my mother. And my mother passed. And I didn't realize how close I was to her until she had passed. Once she had passed, then I started thinking about the things she had told me. So I went back to church, but I still wasn't satisfied with a friend of mine. You might well remember him. There's a brother named Ugda. He was going to the Temple number 2 in Chicago. And so he told me, he said, "Brother Larry," he said, "why don't you check out the Muslims?" And this is like 73, 74. And I honestly, Brother Talut, I tell this, you know, this is exactly what went through my mind, but I didn't tell Wendell. I just said, "Man, them folks crazy." And but he was a good friend. You know, you have good friends and you respect him. He was an older man too. He was older than my oldest brother, but he and I hung out together. But he told me about it, and so I started coming to the temple on Florida Street just from him inviting me.
What year was that?
This was like 73 and 74. And what really enforced it, Reverend Williams heard about it. He and Reverend Lockhart. Reverend Lockhart was the assistant pastor, which you wouldn't know these people, but anyway, Reverend Williams, when he heard about it, he taught on me on the roster. He said, "I quieted tonight." He said, "We got a member who taking folks to the devil." Because I invited the whole church, and I invited our choir. I was so naive, I thought our church was going to convert. That's what I thought. Allah be my witness.
Those were the days of fishing.
Yeah. And I thought they were going to convert. I really believed that. And so I told the choir, and the choir came over. All of us got in the more cars and drove over here. But when Pastor Williams heard about it, he said, "We got a devil among us." I was like, "Oh man, this man talking about me." He said, "And taking them folks over there to them heathens, them people over there, and them folks don't believe in God." But that was a lie, which is you obviously because we're here. But I couldn't believe he would get on. I said, "Man, this man, this is the pastor, you know." And that was really, he helped me. He fueled the fire. He made me start looking more. I said, I'm going to check this out more because this man here is not right. You know, and I went to him, I told him, but he kept that same attitude, and I was disappointed that he would do that. You know.
So you joined at Mosque number 55 on Florida Street.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And it's now been 35 years.
Yes.
Okay, it's a long time.
Long time.
And you've been consistent. You've been a part of the community all along.
Yes, sir.
When you came, when you left from 55, you went to a hotel, Airport Inn, with the airport, no,
Airport Inn, and we also went to the one over on Lamar. We went to Airport Inn and Lamar.
Okay. And so during that period, what made you stick?
Oh, there's so many things. But I think if I could narrow down to one or two things, I found among the brothers and sisters, yourself and other brothers and sisters, people that I just fell in love with. I mean, I actually fell in love with them. I had never been around a situation where you could be around men, and the men weren't trying to get your woman, and the women weren't trying to get the men. I mean, I said, this is unreal. Because it wasn't like that at the church I went to. Not to say all churches are like that, but it wasn't like that. It was a closeness that I went back and told the people, I said, these people here, I don't know where they come from, but they're not your average